As far as I can remember, my eating disorder started around when I was 13. Um, Mine started as a control issue. I had an illness. I was very sick, and the doctors and my parents were in control. And one day it dawned on me that I could control if I ate or not, and it would upset them, but that was mine. And I think back and I remember having my little brother dump my food and stuff, so that was a pretty low point, like right off the bat, because that just put him in jeopardy, all right off the bat. So, yeah. Mine, it was a blessing. I was leaving a doctor's office. I grew up, like I said, I was very sick, chronically ill for years. So I grew up very sheltered. I didn't know about eating disorders. I mean, I knew about like some of it, but I didn't know about the restricting and stuff. I was leaving a doctor's office, and he shared a practice with another doctor. And as I walked past her office, she came out and she got me and she sat me down in her office. And the people pleaser that I am, I sat and I talked to her, and she asked if she could get me into treatment if I would go for my eating disorder. And I thought she was crazy, and I thought I was incredibly forgettable. So I agreed, and then I left, thinking I would never hear from her again, which was a huge mistake because in about like 4.5 hours, there was a phone call, and I was packing my stuff to go to Rosewood for the first time. So I went being the people pleaser, and I played the perfect patient, and I got some knowledge of eating disorders then. It was almost like being in prison. Like, I learned new tricks, I learned new behaviors, but I got some education, but I wasn't there for me. I hadn't surrendered, like, at all. So I left there, and about 4 or 5 years had passed, and I was very, very much back in my disorder. And apparently everybody knew it but me. I sat up in bed, and the room was dark and the TV was off, and I just remember like gray was the color in the room. And I caught my reflection in the mirror, and I didn't look in mirrors, but I had like a moment of clarity, like God was kind of like, look what you're doing. And I didn't have a voice, so I couldn't call my doctor and ask for help. But so I wrote a letter, like old school, wrote a letter, put it in the mailbox, and as soon as I got back into the bed, I immediately regretted it, but I didn't go out and get it out, so I guess part of me didn't regret it. And then I got into Rosewood, and I took it as it was a gift. I was given the gift of being able to live, not get my life back. I was being able to get a life, to get me. All through recovery, I've been told it's a process. It takes time. That nothing could irritate me more because I want it now. I want it like right this second. I want to feel better. I don't care that it took years to get here. I want to get better like right now. But I'm almost 5 years into recovery, and honestly, I'm starting over again. Not because of behaviors, but when I went into recovery, and when I went into treatment, I was married, and it was very codependent. And this past year, I've been on my own, and I had to resurrender again. 4 years into it, I had to make the choice, like make the conscious choice to surrender again and save my life, and get to know me, because I knew myself as a missus, but I didn't know me, so I'm kind of starting over again. I don't know, circle of life, I guess. So it's a process. I think the biggest thing that I've taken away from the program and from my 12-step groups and my support is I'm Mandy, and although I may sometimes fight not to compare myself to everybody else, I'm different from everybody else. So what works for me isn't going to work for everybody else. But what's big for me is I'm perfectly imperfect, and I just need to keep surrendering and keep being kind to myself and reminding myself that just because everything went flawless today doesn't mean that it has to go flawless tomorrow. Doesn't mean that the next hour is going to be easy. And like I said, I'm almost 5 years in. It is more of a second nature. It's a easier, quicker decision, but it's still a decision. It's still a conscious effort that I fight for. But I know I want to fight for me now. So that's, yeah, just fight for yourself. I guess that's the advice.